Let's talk about why we mock things when we create unit tests. If we think for a second about the entire software system, we've got users using the software, our software making the appropriate calculations and transformations, and there's some kind of transition on the back end to a file system, a database, or maybe another system. We can think about testing the software with the backing stores as integration tests, which is a valid thing to do, but not something we want to do all the time because it's slower and there's more state that needs to be managed. Oftentimes what we want to do is test the software by itself. We call these unit tests. The state is all contained in the test, thus making the test more reliable, repeatable, and faster. When we think just about creating unit tests for our application, we often want to test the smallest unit of functionality possible. But sometimes that unit of functionality lives in a class or a component that has dependencies on other things. And those things might themselves depend on a database or a file system. So how do we create a unit test just for the one unit that we want to test? In some cases, we can pull the functionality out into its own class, isolating it from the other dependencies, making the functionality pure functionality with no side effects other than the things that we want to examine with our unit test results. But sometimes we need to test the class that has the dependencies. So how do we test the class without testing its dependencies? Oftentimes what we want to do is replace the dependencies with other objects that stand in for those dependencies, but that have static behavior. We call these mocks, and mocks allow us to test isolated functionality by replacing external dependencies with internal dependencies.